For nearly a century, Boeing was untouchable, the king of the skies, the name that defined aviation itself. From transatlantic dominance to the backbone of countless global fleets, Boeing was more than a manufacturer. It was a symbol of American power, progress, and precision. But something shifted, quietly at first. Missed deadlines, grounded aircraft, whispers from within, and then cracks became headlines. Today, that once untouchable empire is being overtaken. Not by chance, but by strategy, innovation, and cold-blooded execution. Airbus, Boeing's longtime European rival, has done more than catch up. It's beginning to crush them. And this isn't just about jets. It's about billions in contracts, global influence, and the companies shaping how humanity travels. This is the story of how one misstep turned a titan into a target, and how a quiet, calculated rival is now rewriting the future of flight. But the real shock? This sky shift isn't on the horizon. It's already here. If there was ever a moment that made it official, it was the 2025 Paris Air Show. Once a battlefield where Boeing flexed its global dominance, this year it felt different. Quiet from the Americans, explosive from the Europeans. While Boeing's display was clouded by crisis, still reeling from the deadly 787 Dreamliner incident just weeks before, Airbus walked in like a shark smelling blood. In just 3 days, Airbus secured over $21 billion in aircraft orders. Boeing? Barely a third of that. Major buyers, who once leaned heavily on Boeing, flocked to Airbus with confidence. Why? Because Airbus delivered what Boeing couldn't: stability, innovation, and jets that were ready to fly, not stuck in regulatory limbo. Even the buzz on the tarmac told the story. Airbus had momentum. Boeing had excuses. Executives at the show whispered the same thing behind closed doors. Boeing didn't just have a bad show. It looked like they were giving up ground, voluntarily. And when you combine that with what Airbus unveiled next, it was clear. This wasn't just a one-off win. It was a signal of a much bigger shift. In aviation, future dominance isn't just about headlines. It's about the backlog. The planes you've already sold, the orders locked in, the demand secured for years to come. And right now, Airbus isn't just winning that battle. They're dominating it. Let's talk numbers. As of mid-2025, Airbus boasts a staggering 8,726 aircraft in its backlog. That's over 13 years of full production capacity. Compare that to Boeing, sitting at just 5,643, barely enough to keep factories humming for 8 years. That's not just a gap, it's a canyon. This kind of lead doesn't happen overnight. It comes from trust, reliability, delivering on time, every time. And in those areas, Boeing has been bleeding out. One delay, one regulatory hold, one broken promise at a time. Airlines are planning a decade ahead, and they're betting on Airbus. Even loyal Boeing customers, massive names like Ryanair and United, have shifted major portions of their future orders across the Atlantic. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Reliability in aviation isn't optional. And here's the quiet part no one's saying out loud. That backlog represents more than money. It represents confidence, and Boeing is losing it. If one aircraft could symbolize Airbus's rise, it's this one, the A321XLR. To the average traveler, it's just another narrow-body jet. But to airlines, it's a goldmine. And to Boeing, it's a nightmare with wings. The A321XLR isn't just efficient. It's a range killer. With the ability to fly over 4,700 nautical miles, farther than any single-aisle jet before, it unlocks long-haul routes without needing wide-body fuel costs. That means airlines can now connect secondary cities across continents, New York to Rome, Singapore to Sydney, without stopping and without spending like it's 2005. And Boeing still hasn't released an answer. Their aging 757 is long out of production. The much-hyped new midsize aircraft has been stuck in planning purgatory for nearly a decade. And now, while Airbus racks up over 500 orders for the A321XLR, Boeing is pitching concepts. Airlines can't wait, passengers won't wait, and Airbus knows it. Even worse, former Boeing loyal airlines are switching sides just to access this plane. It's not just a win, it's a betrayal. And every A321XLR delivered is another reminder that Boeing isn't just behind, they're cornered. For decades, the 737 was Boeing's pride, the best-selling commercial aircraft in history, the jet that built Boeing's reputation and its bank account. But history doesn't matter when trust is broken. Since the tragic 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019, Boeing's grip on the narrow-body market has never fully recovered. Grounded worldwide, investigations, congressional hearings, and perhaps the most damaging of all, doubt. And while Boeing scrambled to fix the MAX, Airbus didn't slow down for a second. Their response? The A320neo family, cleaner, quieter, more fuel-efficient, and most importantly, safe. By 2025, the numbers tell the whole story. Airbus has delivered more A320neo jets than Boeing has 737 MAX units by a significant margin. The backlog is even more brutal. 19,000 plus orders for A320 family aircraft versus under 17,000 for Boeing's entire 737 line. It's not even close anymore. And as major carriers shift their narrow-body fleets to Airbus, Delta, JetBlue, Indigo, and even parts of Ryanair, it's clear. The industry doesn't just see Airbus as a backup, they see it as the new standard. Boeing didn't lose the narrow-body war in a single battle. It lost it in a slow, painful collapse of confidence. And now, its most profitable segment has a new king. The most dangerous thing in aviation isn't turbulence, it's inertia. And Boeing? They've been frozen for years. In an industry built on innovation, they haven't launched a clean-sheet aircraft in over 20 years. No bold new designs, no game-changing announcements, just reworks, patches, and promises. And behind that silence, a storm of internal chaos. From the 737 MAX disaster to 787 Dreamliner production halts, Boeing has been playing defense while Airbus plays offense. The FAA keeps slapping them with delays. Engineers have left in waves. And every time Boeing tries to talk about the future, the market answers with a question. When? Even the rumored new midsize airplane, meant to compete with the A321XLR, is still vapor. No timeline, no prototype, just PowerPoint slides and internal hesitations. Meanwhile, Airbus is stacking orders like chips at a poker table. Airlines are betting big on the one player that's still taking risks and reaping the rewards. Investors have noticed, so have pilots, so have passengers. And when Boeing's latest CEO stepped down under pressure, just months before the Paris Air Show, it felt symbolic. Not a pivot, not a restart, but a surrender. For years, the global aircraft market was a two-player game, Boeing versus Airbus, a duopoly so massive, so untouchable, that no challenger ever got close. Until now, enter Comac, China's state-backed aviation giant. For a while, Western analysts laughed off the threat. The C919, China's answer to the 737 and A320, was seen as clunky, untested, and barely regional. But that story is changing. Fast. The C-19 completed its first commercial flight in 2023. By 2024, Chinese airlines, backed by aggressive state investment, were ordering hundreds. And now, in 2025, Comac isn't just delivering jets, it's building credibility. Their next move? EASA certification, Europe's green light for international operation. Target timeline, late 2028. If they hit it, the C919 could begin flying global routes just 5 years from now. And here's the kicker. With Boeing weakened and Airbus overloaded, Comac could slide right into the gap. They won't dominate overnight. But in markets where political alignment matters more than brand loyalty, especially across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, Comac is already gaining ground. And let's not forget, China doesn't just want a seat at the table. They want to own the table. For decades, Boeing defined air travel. Airbus challenged it, and the world watched a fierce, balanced rivalry play out at 30,000 feet. But not anymore. This isn't just a slump for Boeing. It's a structural collapse, a slow-motion surrender to missed innovation, public mistrust, and years of executive indecision. And Airbus? They didn't just rise. They filled every gap Boeing left behind, and then widened it. With a crushing backlog lead, dominance in the narrow-body market, and a fleet of next-gen aircraft already in the sky, Airbus has become the new global superpower of aviation. The numbers don't lie. The airlines aren't guessing. The market has already decided. But this story doesn't end with a clean handoff. Because while Boeing stumbles and Airbus surges, a new competitor, Comac, is building power in the shadows. Fueled by nationalism, backed by billions, and hungry for disruption, China's ambitions in the air are no longer whispers. They're blueprints being built at speed. So, what happens when a century-old empire crumbles and a global shift begins? You get a new world in the skies, a world where legacy means nothing, and only execution decides who flies ahead. If you thought Boeing versus Airbus was the battle, think again. The real war for the sky is just getting started.